Hello, my name is Eric Farmer. I'm with the Tennessee Student Assistance Corporation. Let me first apologize for not being there in person with you, but the information I'm about to give will be beneficial for you and your child. If you have any questions, I'll have my contact information up in the presentation on one of the slides. Just to let you know, the financial aid presentation is not that exciting, it's not that interesting, to be honest, and it's pretty boring sometimes. So I'm gonna try my best to make it as entertaining as possible in this process. Also, I'm gonna try to make it short and sweet, give you just bits and pieces, and so that you can go on and start doing things. But like I said, if you have questions or anything, feel free to give me a call, send me a text, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and on YouTube, and I can get answers back to you as soon as I can. All right, well, let's get started. So once again, this is Financial Aid 101. Like I said earlier, my contact information I'll put up here, and here it is right now. It's eric.farmer@tn.gov. That's my cell number, which I have on me most of the time. You can follow me on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as well at efarmertsacse. And before we get going, I can email you this presentation in PDF format if you like. Just send me an email and I'll send it to you as well. So I know we're going to have different ages in the audience, different class years or whatever, but if you're a senior, this is definitely what you want to do this year. You want to make sure you've taken or retake the ACT or SAT. You want to start applying to several colleges and universities, looking at different portions of the institution, like the admissions process, institutional aid, ask questions about that, etc. And then I have something called the net price calculator, which is found on every college website. This will give you a better idea of how much it will cost for you to attend a particular institution. Most of the times when you talk to a admissions rep, they'll give you a general price tag of how much it will cost to go to a school, but the net price calculator will give you a better idea of how much it will cost you. You also want to start completing local and private scholarships. This spring, you want to fill out the 2016-17 FAFSA, and this is for the seniors only. This will be available on January 1st of 2016. Continue to complete local and private scholarships, and then review your awards letters that you'll get probably the end of March, early April. Typically, it might come in an email form for you to check your school account. It's going to be important to start looking at your emails if you don't do that already. I would highly recommend just getting used to that, to doing that, checking your emails periodically, because a lot of colleges and universities are not going to communicate through letters. They will communicate through email. So review those college acceptance letters, compare the financial aid packages, ask questions, follow up, and get things back to the institution in a timely manner. If you miss a deadline with the institution, a lot of times you miss out on financial aid and possibly missing out on your spot at that institution as well. Here's a couple of financial aid terms that you'll come across. Cost for attendance, COA. It just actually means what it says, how much it costs to go to a particular institution. Just keep in mind there are two different types of cost of attendance. There's the official cost of attendance given by the university, and there's your personal cost of attendance, that have what you will actually pay to attend a particular school or particular institution. There's the EFC, which is the expected family contribution. This number comes from the FAFSA. You're going to put a lot of data into the FAFSA. It's going to spit out this number that's going to determine if you qualify for need-based grants. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Once again, the FAFSA stands for the free application for federal student aid. Once again, the FAFSA stands for the free application for federal student aid. I say that over and over again because it is free. You don't have to pay. However, every year I've done this, and I've been doing this since 2009, I hear of someone submitting the FAFSA and paying for it. You don't have to pay for it. If you are just dying to pay for the FAFSA to complete it and submit it, My name is Eric Farmer. I take checks, cash, credit cards, and eventually you'll see me from the waist down, and you notice or from the torso down, and you notice I like to eat as well. But I will still do this for free. This is not this is a free form. The help for it is free. There's an 800 number you can call that's free. You'll get my help for free. There's other helps around the city that will help you for free as well. Do not pay. This next point is it says personal identification number, but actually is now called the FSA ID. They just changed this. It's going to be something new. It's going to take the place of your personal identification number. So those of you that have a PIN already, remember that PIN number, but you'll be signing up for something called the FSA ID. This is how you're going to log into your FAFSA and also sign your FAFSA electronically. About 3 days after you submit your FAFSA, you'll get something called the Student Aid Report, or SAR. When you think about financial aid, think of grants, loans, and scholarships. The grants are free money based upon need. Of course, loans is money that you borrow that you got to pay back. And I'm going to say this: you want to use that as a last resort. When you fill out your FAFSA, you're going to get a loan. You're going to get offered a loan. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept any of it. You can accept part of it, or you can accept all of it. But just remember, it is there as a last resort. You're trying to get as much free money as possible. The grant money is based upon 5 factors that the student has no control over. So you're going to fill out the FAFSA and hope that you get grant money, but there's no guarantee. What you're looking for are the scholarships, which is free money based upon merit, skill, and unique characteristic of the student. You've heard of merit-based scholarships using your GPA or ACT score, skill scholarships, with athletics, arts, different programs or different clubs and organizations. But then you have unique characteristic scholarships based upon the student themselves, such as their height, their ethnicity, their eye color, if they're left-handed or not, if they have certain ailments like allergies, asthma, liver disorders, things like that. Those all have scholarships attached to them. Then there's these weird scholarships where if you make your prom dress and tuxedo out of duct tape, there's a scholarship for that. There's a scholarship you can do a duck call. There's a scholarship if you're an athlete and you pose with a milk mustache. There's all these different scholarships that you potentially get. So just look out there. There are many places to look for. We'll get into that a little bit later. Verification is a random audit of your FAFSA. About a third of everybody who fills out the FAFSA will have to go through the verification process. It's not a big deal. If you do something called the use the IRS data retrieval tool, which is something that I will talk about in a couple of weeks. Actually, you can use it, and the process of verification is easy. And then work study is the money received from on-campus employment. You'll see a question on the FAFSA that will ask if you're interested in work study. I would highly recommend that you mark it yes. And that's because the work study program is free money. It's need-based, so that EFC is going to come into play. Just to let you know, the lower the EFC, the better chance of receiving need-based money. That EFC range is from 0 to 99,999. So what you want to do is hope that you have a low EFC and then pray that you get some grant money. So cost of attendance. When people think about the cost of attendance, a lot of times they just stop with tuition and think that that's all they need. They rarely think about the tuition and the fees and the room and board and the books, travel, and personal costs. They don't think about the whole package there. And so that's what you want to do. So when you hear the term cost of attendance, going to this point forward, think of all 6 factors there. And they're split into 2 different areas. There are 2 different costs. You have direct costs, which are the tuition, fees, room and board, and you have the indirect costs, books, travel, and personal expenses. The direct cost is paid directly into the institution. The indirect cost is what is incurred for going to said institution. Now, you can figure out your own personal cost of attendance by looking at the school's website, looking at the different fees, and figuring it out on your own. Or if you want to get an idea of what everything costs, you can actually look at a school's website and see how everything is laid out by tuition, room and board, book and supplies, transportation, miscellaneous, and that will give you your cost of attendance. And a lot of times that is the school's official cost of attendance. Now, your cost of attendance can be a lot less based upon the type of major, if you're going to commute back and forth from home or stay in a dorm, the type of dorm that you have, the transportation. Do you have a car? Are you flying back and forth, or whatever? So your personal cost for attendance is going to vary from what the actual school's cost for attendance is. Also, your personal cost for attendance will be different than your neighbor's personal cost of attendance, even though you two might be going to the same school. So you want to also keep that in mind. Once you know your cost of attendance, you have to come up with a package to cover your cost of attendance. So you'll look at the different sources, the institutions, the private sources, the federal government, the state, all come up with this package. With institutional aid, there are different types of scholarships as well. You have academic, need-based, performance, and attribute. When you look at the attribute, that's kind of like the unique characteristics. So let's say your child is going to a school that's church affiliated, and y'all are also affiliated with that church as well. You can potentially get a scholarship. If your child goes to a school that you have graduated from, as an alumni scholarship. Diversity is not necessarily ethnicity only, but also gender. So if you're a male going to a female-dominated industry and vice versa, there's potential scholarships for that as well. And then there's sibling scholarships. So if you have multiple children going to one institution, there's potentially a scholarship for that or a discount. When you look at the private aid, the outside aid, the different height scholarship, the asthma and whatnot, and also you have McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and these different companies, where do you look? First, you look at the school counselor or guidance counselor, and they'll have different information for you. Look at other high school websites. Don't just look at your own. When you look at other high school websites, you are actually using those high school websites as a resource. But then look at search engines and databases. Collegefortn.org is a search engine, but also it's a tool for the student to possibly get more information on what type of school that he or she might want to attend, if they want to go to a 4-year, a 2-year, maybe even figure out what type of major they want to go into. But also it has helps of ACT and SAT prep help in there as well. FastWeb is one of many scholarship databases. What they'll do is they have thousands of scholarships in their database. You'll register with that database, and they'll start sending you emails. Now, you don't have to register with FastWeb. Like I said, there's plenty others. Like there's scholarships.com, there's Zinch, there's CapEx, there's all kinds of different ones. The one thing you want to make sure, though, is that they are free. Once again, you don't have to pay for this. The only thing that you're paying toward your college is, of course, your cost if you don't get all that taken care of, but also the application fee you might have to pay. Speaking of email, signing up for stuff like FastWeb, I was highly recommend getting a secondary email account just for scholarships through FastWeb or some other scholarship database, because they'll start inundating your email account with emails from them. On a side note with emails, students, you want to start maybe developing a new email address, like a more professional one, because a lot of times the scholarship institution or the institution of higher learning, like a college or university that you want to attend, don't get to see you at first. They look at everything from your application. If your application is good, except maybe for your email, and you have something like Twerk Queen on there or Sexy Mama or something like that, they might not look at that positively. So I would say get a professional email, maybe something with your name and some numbers, just something that's not too out there, that will put you still in a good light. So, seniors, class of 2016, you will be filling out for the first time the FAFSA in January, and you'll be filling out the 2016-2017 FAFSA. You will have to fill this application out every year that you're in college, and every year will be available January 1st. The way you figure out which application you're supposed to fill out is the academic school year that you're going into. So in other words, you'll be graduating in May of 2016. you'll be filling out this 16-17 FAFSA because it's the academic school year that will be attending college. You want to make sure you go to FAFSA.gov. You want to do this, and you want to do that as soon as possible after January 1st of 2016 because there's some money out there that is a need-based money, and that's need-based and first come, first serve. So the sooner you get it in, the better. Now, the FAFSA is an income tax-based application. So it's going to be looking for 2015 tax information. Well, on January 1st, that information is not going to be available. So what do? You can actually use 2014 tax information to complete the FAFSA at first. Once you get your taxes done, you'll go back in and you can do that IRS data transfer and transfer that information from the IRS straight into the FAFSA. You probably want to wait, though, maybe 2-3 weeks before you actually try to do that, because it's going to take some time for the FAFSA, for your income taxes to go through the IRS system in order to be able to do the IRS data transfer or data retrieval tool. When you fill out your FAFSA, you'll be applying for the federal Pell Grant, the SEOG, and the Work Study Program. The Pell Grant is going to be based upon your EFC. Like I said earlier, the lower your EFC, the better chance of receiving need-based money. Pell Grant is need-based. If you have a 0 to 5157 EFC, you will receive anywhere from, if you have a 0 EFC, it's $57.30. If you have a 5157 EFC, it's $602, and this is per year. The SEOG is based upon exceptional financial need, or in layman's terms, a low EFC. So if you have a low EFC, you have a better chance of getting the SEOG as well. That amount can range anywhere from $100 to $4,000 per year. The Work Study Program is also based upon financial need, and the money is paid directly to the student. With most other financial aid money, it goes to the school, pays off their cost of attendance, and then whatever's left over, they'll eventually get. With the Work Study money, it goes directly to them as they work on campus. Then you have your loans that you're applying for through the FAFSA. You have the subsidized loans, which means that the federal government pays your interest while you're in school. You have the unsubsidized loans, which means you're responsible for your interest while you're in school. So that means the minute you take out the loan, the interest starts accruing. And then you have the Parent Plus, which is an additional loan based upon your parents' credit score. When you fill out the FAFSA, you will either receive a subsidized or unsubsidized. You'll definitely get the unsubsidized, but you might receive the subsidized based upon your EFC. I highly recommend that if you have to take out the Parent Plus loan, which is the additional loan, to think about going to a less expensive school. Main reason because the interest rate is a lot higher with the Parent Plus, and you're taking on more debt if you have to take the Parent Plus loan out. So next, we have the Tennessee Promise. This is the checklist of the things you have to do to be eligible for the Tennessee Promise program. The first step is to apply to the program at tnpromise.gov by November 2nd. That is Monday, November 2nd. However, I will not wait to the last day to apply for this because last year there was issues with our website. And so therefore, I will try to do this as soon as possible if you haven't already done so. Now, the application process is a two-step process, especially if you have never filled out a dual enrollment grant application. You still have to go to the same portal. So you have to register for the TSAC portal. Once you register, you have to click on the scholarship link and apply for the Tennessee Promise scholarship. The next thing you have to do is complete the FAFSA before February 15th. However, like I said before, a lot of stuff is done on a first come, first serve. This is not. You can wait till February 15th to do it. I would not recommend that, but still, you can. I would still recommend doing this as soon as possible after January 1st. Remember, go to FAFSA.gov. There's 2 mandatory meetings. The first one will be done before March 1st. The second one will be done before May 31st. And so you attend those 2 meetings, and then you have to complete 8 hours of community service between January 1st of 2016 and August 1st of 2016. You do all those steps, you will be eligible for the Tennessee Promise program. I will get back to this in a couple of. So this is how Tennessee Promise works. Tennessee Promise is a last dollar tuition and mandatory fee scholarship that will pay the full tuition and mandatory fee cost at a community college and part of the tuition and mandatory fee cost at a four-year institution that has an associate degree program. The example that you're about to see is for a community college. If you have questions about which institutions are four-year institutions are promise eligible, please contact me. All right. Like I said before, it's a last dollar. So that means other programs kick in to the tuition and mandatory fees before promise will. Those programs are Pell, TELS, which is the Hope Scholarship, and the TSAA, which is the state grant. And we'll talk about the TELS and the TSAA in a little bit. So let's say student A has done the checklist, is promise eligible, but is getting the full amount for the Pell Grant. That Pell Grant amount covers all of her tuition and mandatory fees, so there's no gap. So Tennessee Promise covers nothing. Student B is getting the Hope Scholarship to a community college. There's a $1,000 gap between tuition and what's last dollar. So Tennessee Promise covers the $1,000. Student C is getting nothing of the three programs. So therefore, there's a $4,000 gap, and Tennessee Promise covers the full amount. In all three cases, the student is not paying anything for tuition and mandatory fees. Now, with the Hope Scholarship, which I just showed you, that if a student is going to a two-year school or community college, and they have the requirements of a 21 ACT score or a 3.0 GPA, it's $1,500 per semester. Now, if a student by chance will have a 29 ACT score and a 3.75 GPA, they will qualify for the GAMS Award or the General Assembly Merit Scholarship. And this is a supplement that goes on top of what they get for the Hope Scholarship. The other supplement, the Aspire Award, is based upon the household adjusted gross income. If the adjusted gross income is $36,000 or less, the student will get an additional $250 on top of the Hope Scholarship. Now, by chance, if a student qualifies for both GAMS and Aspire, we only award them one. And in this case, we'll award them the GAMS. Now, for your institution, it's a little different. The qualifications are the same, but the amounts change. For the Hope Scholarship, if a student is classified as a freshman or sophomore at a four-year institution, they will be getting $1,750 per semester as long as they meet the requirements of the 21 or the 3.0. If when they become a junior, have junior or senior status at the institution, they'll get $2,250 per semester. With GAMS, it's still $500 per semester with the same requirements. Aspire's requirements are the same, but the amount went up. So in this case, if they qualify for Aspire, they get $750 per semester on top of the Hope. But once again, if they qualify for both, they only get one, and in this case, they will get the Aspire Award. There's other state aid out there, just like the Hope Access, just in case you don't qualify for the Hope Scholarship, but yet you have an 18 and at least an 18, at least a 2.75 GPA, and your household adjusted gross income is $36,000 or less. There's the Water Navy Technical Skills Grant. That's an automatic $2,000 per year if you enroll at a Tennessee College of Applied Technology into their certificate or diploma program. And then there's the TSAA, which I mentioned, which is one of the aids that go in before Promise will kick in. And that's the Tennessee Student Assistance Award, which is our state grant. You have to have a 0 EFC to qualify for it. And depending on the type of school that you go to, depends on how much you get. So if you go to a Tennessee College of Applied Technology or TCAT, it's $1,000. If you go to a community college, it's $1,300. If you go to a four-year state institution, it's $2,000. And if you go to a private institution like Lee University, Bryan, Vanderbilt, schools like that, it's $4,000 per year. Okay. Some other applications that you'll find on the TSAC website is the Ned McWhorter Scholars Program. We get up to $6,000 per year. You got to have a 29 and a 3.5 GPA. There's a Dependent Children's Scholarship. and a dual enrollment grant, which some of your children might have already taken advantage of. So hopefully this has been informative, not too boring, maybe a little entertaining. But if you like to follow the TSAC on Facebook, feel free to do so. You just like us on Facebook, just search Tennessee Student Assistance Corporation. You can follow us on Twitter at TN Financial Aid, or you can check us on our website. But also, like I said earlier, if you want to follow me on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, just find me at eFarmerTSACSE. You can search all three with that, and you'll find me. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at 423-326-7198. That is my cell number. I barely am in my office, so that's why you have my cell number there. You can text me. You can call me. Send me an email at e.farmer@tn.gov, and that will also come to my phone. Notifications from my social media will come to my phone as well. So I want you to use me as a resource. I do not mind. If you have questions, feel free to contact me. If you would like this presentation, feel free to email me, and I can email you a PDF version. Good luck to you this school year, and I look forward to working with you and your family. Have a good day.